Hey there, welcome to episode 268 of Fresh Air at 5. This episode, entitled Sounds Like Learning, is about me sharing my learning this week. The last episode that I listened to this week is actually about a sound engineer that took and built student-proof headphones so students can enjoy the sound of learning. So much more in here, but that is a highlight for me. Take a listen for yourself, and thanks for being here. Fresh Air at 5, episode 268 starts now.
Hi, I'm Steve Miletto from the Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter, coming to you every week from Abbotsford, which is about 45 minutes east of Vancouver, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to get some fresh air by walking about my neighborhood, which is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people, the Simath First Nation and Mathwee First Nation. I consume podcast content while I walk, then reflect on this content in an unedited video, which I post on my X, formerly known as Twitter, channel every day. This podcast is the collection of the audio taken from those daily selfie videos over the course of a week, Monday to Friday. So let's jump into my listening and learning this past week. Hey, PLN. July 13, 2026, later that day, and this morning I slept in. You know, it's hard to get up in the morning. It's summer, and I'm enjoying the time that I have to be getting some rest and all those things, so it was fantastic. As the day went along, I did listen in the middle of the day to the 10-Minute Teacher podcast with Vicki Davis, as she has an episode entitled Hope Takes Practice. And she talks with psychologist Dr. Julia Garcia, and this is what episode number is this? Whoa, it's in there, I don't even know. The whole point of this today is that as Vicki was talking with Julia Garcia, she talked about how she lost her father recently and is having a challenging time working through the grieving process. And you know, it's important that we grieve deeply for those that we've lost, because that talks about the impact that they've had in our lives. Vicki, I really appreciate hearing you say that. I haven't lost anybody recently that is super significant. Haven't lost anybody, period. So I'm not in that same space at all. But I appreciate you talking about your dad and celebrating him and bringing him back into the room and talking about how important he is in your life and has been in your life and the difference he's made for you. Hope Takes Practice is about coming at challenging situations and not forgetting and not burying and not keeping those things down. It's about, yes, so many things. In this podcast, Julia talks about the habits of hope and some things about the habit of reflection, pausing long enough to connect with something real. The habit of receiving, learning to name and accept support. That's super important. How to reshape the thought patterns that keep us on track. How to keep teaching and creating through grief. This is important. This was it was called Habits of Hope for Help. Habits of Hope to Help Educators. Yes, and us educators, we got a lot going on. You know, we have stuff in our own lives, and we have to care for others all the time. Do we take care of ourselves? Typically not, but we have to be mindful about that. So in our focus on wellness lately, how are you doing? How are you doing with being hopeful and getting through the hopelessness? There is opportunity there, and don't do it by yourself. All right. Thank you, Vicki. I appreciate it, and I really appreciate your honesty and vulnerability. When you're your podcast today. Thanks. Bye. Hey, PLN, July 14, 2026. Good morning to you. It's a beautiful day. Clear sky. The sun is on its way up, and it is about 14 degrees Celsius. I hear the birds chirping as you can there. And it's wonderful out this morning. This morning, as I walked, I listened to episode 218 of the EdTech Throwdown called 12 Months of Impact, the ultimate guide to student engagement. As Eric Geis and Nick Johnson on the EdTech Throwdown bring us this list of yearly activities, an activity that you could do each month based on like the national month of whatever month is going on. And depending on where you are, that could change. And in this episode, they bring us a plethora of opportunities for each of the different months, depending on your area of study and what you are interested in and your students could be interested in investigating and looking at. We have the National Hispanics Month, it's in September, where students could look at, Hispanic impact around the world. We have Black History Month. We have Women in Science Month we could have things all the way through Earth Day that is going on, interviews with the future me, looking at National Women's Month. All kinds of opportunities are there for integration of the curriculum that you're doing with a project, and it can be either a hands-on project. Lots of hands-on projects were presented in this podcast by the guys, but there's also EdTech connections using things like Canva. There's podcasting opportunities and other things. Lots to check out. Check out the show notes, and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful summer. I am here working a little bit, but I am enjoying summer, enjoying watching soccer too. All right, we'll talk to you later. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN, it's July 15, 2026. Halfway through July already. It's crazy, but here we are, and the summer's been great and beautiful here in British Columbia, and I've enjoyed my time working actually in the mornings, and then in the afternoon turning work off completely and coming home and doing other things. I'm working on a renovation project right now, so that's occupying a lot of my headspace, but then there's also World Cup soccer that I'm enjoying watching, so that's a lot of fun too. All right. This morning, I listened to episode 379 of the Easy Ed Tech podcast with Monica Burns. And she talks with Heidi Samuelson about using tech tools, mixing and matching tech tools to help students with their projects in early learners in schools. And so looking at how you can use tools that students have access to or that teachers may have already introduced to have them use things like Seesaw or, even Word or other tools that are accessible in their schools to do something, create something, take a picture of something using Chatterpix. I love Chatterpix. That's been a good one for me. I haven't done a lot with my students with that, but I like that, Heidi, how you have students get their own voice into a project and putting even just a simple line mouth onto an object can bring that object to life. And that's a lot of fun. It's important that as we integrate technology with our youngers that we don't overwhelm, provide too many tools because there's a lot of great ed tech tools out there, but keeping the workflow smooth and simple so that they can follow along, repeat it, so that they get good at it, and then introduce something else as you go along. I like the ghost project that you talked about and how they heard a story, made an object, took a picture, and then that became the digital thing that moved forward to, bring life to whatever they were talking about with Chatterpix, and then you collected those, small videos, put them into Book Creator, and so that's fantastic. Heidi, I'm going to go check out your stuff and see how you are sharing and working with different tools in your Apple Educator space in the forum, as well as your website. All right, Monica, thank you so much. Great ideas. Fantastic. Listen for yourself and go and create with your students, and don't be afraid. Okay, bye. The last thing for July 15, 2026, just finished my walk. I'm back at home, and I listened to the Inspired Athlete episode 17 of season 3 with Mike Brilla, and he brings us Soon Everyone Forgets. And this is about talking about how we focus on external reward as we perform and we work hard compared to the internal rewards of putting in effort and knowing I did a good job regardless of the outcome. It's a challenge to talk to our young people about athletics or even about life as they focus on results, and that, we go to college and we got to go and get good grades, and we have to, get a good job, and, what are people going to think, and all these things. And there's a balance between caring what others think, a big balance, because we should not care a lot what other people think because they're living their lives and they're full. And soon everyone forgets. That's the point of this. But also that we have to have character, and we have to know that we worked really hard, and that effort and courage, to do what we need to do properly, as opposed to taking shortcuts, so that we can continue to do that in the future. Reminds me of, my teaching journey and how I put my effort into my teaching journey, and why do I teach? And it's at the bottom line, it's because I want to, and I want to do this, and I care a lot, and I've watched my teaching practice increase and get better over the years. And so yes, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that reminder that we need to focus on ourselves as we prepare and practice and do the hard work, so that when game day shows up, that we can get out on the pitch or the field and we can get at it and do the best that we can. And yes, people are going to go, oh, only if. And yeah, there's the only ifs, but that's part of why we play sports and we live life, because there are many ifs and we are living one set of those things. All right, talk to you soon. Have a fabulous day. And I'm going to go make coffee and sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee. Okay, bye. Hey, good morning, PL, and it is Friday, July 17, 2026. I'm up earlier, and it's dark because it's cloudy right now. We had some rain overnight, and it's overcast right now. So won't be seeing the sun for a little bit. But this morning, regardless, I got up and I got at it. If it was raining, like downpouring, I wasn't going to go. But I'm here, and so I'm thankful that it's not downpouring. All right, this morning, as I'm walking, I listened to episode 948 of the 10-Minute Teacher podcast with Vicki Davis. She talks with Amy Storer, and they talk about the AI tools in Adobe Express and Canva that you can use in your classroom. And so Amy is a nationally recognized EdTech speaker. She travels around to lots of different events. And Adobe Express, as you know, is close to my heart, as well as Canva. So Adobe Express Closer. And so I listened and learned a couple things myself. There's Adobe Podcast button in Adobe Express, and that is a tool that students can use to create podcasts. Now, this isn't an AI tool necessarily, but there is an enhance audio button that is in there where the recording gets analyzed and the background noise gets removed. That is an AI function. There's other AI things in Adobe Express, and I talk about these in one of my training sessions that I do for teachers at EdTech or Pro-D events. There's Animate Your Voice, and that takes and creates an animated character based on the student talking that has their voice, the mouth moving of the character. You can do things like Chatterpix used to be able to do, but this is in your browser, in your computer, and create animations that are like that. All right, so she talked also about Canva tools, magic tools in Canva. I'm not super familiar with the Canva magic tools, but there's also Canva code that does some amazing things for creating apps and solutions for teachers very simply, that you don't have to know coding, that it makes objects and items for you that you can use in your classroom. She talked finally about a tool called Scribe, where it's an extension in your browser that helps with making training videos so that you can share what you're learning with others in a step-by-step manner by taking screenshots and putting together for you a flowchart of how to accomplish a task. Thank you so very much, Amy Storer, and I appreciate hearing what you had to share about Adobe Express and Canva. And Vicki Davis, appreciate you. You know that. Happy day. Bye-bye. The last thing for July 17, 2026, episode 299. That's just before episode 300, Gabriel Carrillo of the EdTech Bites podcast. With Gabriel Carrillo, he talks about why this ex-rock star sound engineer built student-proof headphones with Mark Howlett. And so, Gabe, I appreciate hearing you share TWT headphones, sound engineer Mark Howlett, and how he transitioned from being an audio engineer in a recording studio to putting headsets on students that are ergonomic and safe for their ears, and all the work that has gone into some of the work. We heard some of the work that has gone into making this happen, but the short story of the long story is that we have nearly indestructible headphones that can be used in classrooms that are safe for kids' hearing, and interchangeable parts and modular, things like that. So when the headphone jack connection changes, can we change that out? We can. That's what he says. And so you can buy new wires. The wires are, bomb-proof. Kids can't chew through them, things like that. So that's an important feature. I have no idea how much these cost, but I'm going to go look into this after I'm done, because I just learned something pretty nifty and pretty cool. And so Mark and Gabe talk about the journey of design, and that's an important thing. And that, an improvement, a 5% improvement is worth the effort. That's what we need to show and model for our students, that 5% improvement makes a difference in the overall product that you're generating. Because if we can do 5%, often, then that makes a whole lot of percent in a hurry. All right, with that, I'm going to shut this down, and I'm going to go put together episode 268 of Fresh Air at 5 so that you can listen to the whole thing on your podcatcher. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks, Mark. Have a fabulous Friday, because I'm going to. Okay, bye.
I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's like a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find some other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific episode podcast titles and episode numbers in the show notes, which are only a click or swipe away for your learning convenience. I've also started to put together a Spotify playlist of each of the episodes so that you can also take a listen to those specifically, and the link to that playlist is in the show notes. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Brian Carr, BRYONCAR, or at Fresh Air at 5. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can be found on the Educational Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day. Get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself, because you are worth it.